Hey everybody, this week we're going to talk about Hot Rod Harry. I've had a lot of you ask about the building of Hot Rod Harry and kind of what inspired me and then how I built it. First off, I just love 34 Ford coupes. They're kind of the ultimate hot rod. A lot of you when you were kids remember that show, the California Kid movie, and that was such a cool movie. It had a 34 Ford in it. They're just such a cool street rod. Well, I found out a friend of ours had a mold to make those out of fiberglass, so I hit him up and had him build a couple real lightweight 34 bodies. They're just real paper thin. I figured that was probably a good idea. That way if it gets crashed, it's not a big deal. So then it was actually probably one of the more difficult builds I've had because I wanted it to look like it was meant to be together. And so what I had to do is actually build it kind of a reverse engineer. I had to start with the body, and then my concept drawing, I did kind of a quick concept drawing, and then actually once I got the first body, we mocked it up, we hung it up in the air with the forklift, put some 66s that were off of, I think, Shotgun Harry at the time, and kind of put them where we thought it would be. I figured if I stretched it a little bit, I could get away with about 130-inch wheelbase, which is still pretty short compared to a lot of race trucks, but I figured it would work okay. And then I wanted the engine in the front. So there's actually a lot of stuff on this truck that people look at and shake their head and don't understand, and that's actually kind of part of it. In this day and age, everybody builds the same exact trucks. They pretty much order the same chassis from a couple manufacturers, and pretty much everything's the same. Well, I've never been that way. I always like to kind of do something different. So a lot of stuff is different on this truck. We started out, I got with Russ Gearhart Engineering, to do the axle shafts and stuff for me. I took a 2.5 ton center section axle, which are really popular in the mega trucks and was popular in the early days of monster trucks, but they were too small, you know, to run the 66s without breaking them back in the day. Now they're making a lot of performance parts for them, so I actually took those, had Russ help me out. He machined and made the flanges. I ran the 251 Rockwell planetaries. That's the planetaries I've always ran on War Wagon and all the trucks I've ever ran planetaries on. And then he was able to do some custom gear sets inside of the gear heads to actually run bigger axle shafts. So I got pretty good size axle shafts. You know, so I kind of thought that might be a neat little combination. Plus it helps with the driveline angles. Those are a top loader axle, so it helps with getting the drive shafts up higher for the longer travel suspension on a short wheelbase. So, you know, that's kind of where it started. And of course, I've always been on the chassis, on the cradle part of a truck, I've always used rectangular tubing. A lot of guys laugh at that, make fun of that, but when I build the core of my trucks, those things are rock solid. So I use 2 by 4 1/4-inch thick rectangular tubing to build that center cradle part. That's the heart of the whole project, is your cradle. Through the years, I've seen a lot of cradles get ripped out from 4-link bars, hard landings, different things happen. So that's all really stout. And then another neat little thing that I did that a lot of people don't understand is my 4-links are kind of backwards. My top 4-link bars, instead of going to the center of the axle housing, I actually reversed them and went to more towards the center of the frame. And what that did is that allowed the gearhead easy access. So if I have to change the gearhead or pull it out of the axle, I can use a little one-arm bandit and pull it out, or I can use a forklift and get in there and unbolt that pig and pull that out without having to take a ton of work of getting stuff all tore apart. A lot of the military axles, you'll see guys mounting the 4-links on like halo type things off of that gearhead and things, but then all that's in your way if you've got to get in there and work on it. But this was kind of a complicated build with putting the motor in the front. Really changed a lot of things. It's got some very unique things. I've got the front sway bar mounted on the front axle housing, so that's reversed from what normal guys do. Of course, the 4-links are reversed from normal, and then the motor in the front. A lot of a lot of guys was worried it was going to be nose heavy. I had a few, close friends that I would run ideas by sometimes, but I kind of dream this stuff up, and it's hard to explain what I'm thinking. But when I put the motor in the front, we started messing with it. It's only a couple 100 pounds heavier in the front than in the back, which actually helps me when I go into a corner, because I can dive the front end and slide the rear end around and actually go the other way. So it's worked out really good. The rear has 30 inches of travel in the suspension. The front's got about 26 to 27, and I'm running a big block. The engine actually was one of the early engines that I had out of the original War Wagon. It's a I think a 472 built by Doug's Performance, Doug Goebel out of Edgerton, Ohio. And then I'm running a Turbo 400 transmission. And so it's, and then a Profab transfer case. It's pretty cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hang in there. Next week we're going to actually do some more on it. You'll get to see some more photos and videos of the truck as it was getting completed. And then don't forget to subscribe, push the like button. Hey, and if you're enjoying all the Monster Truck Hall of Fame and museum stuff, please subscribe to that. Join as a member and you'll get a monthly newsletter. And hey, thanks again for watching. We'll catch you next week.